Alright guys, so in today's video I have another part for you guys from Acuity Instruments, and essentially this is a shift boot collar upgrade. Now what this part is looking to do is replace that little chrome plastic trim right around your shift boot collar. If you want to replace the stock shifter knob on your Honda Civic Sport or the SI, there are aftermarket binding nuts that you're going to have to buy in order to make everything fit. And even then so, you might experience what's called boot sag, which is essentially once you install an aftermarket shift knob, the shifter boot doesn't really mate correctly to the actual bottom of the shift knob. So depending on the geometry of the shift knob, if it's a flat bottom or if it's a narrow bottom shift knob, there's two sides to this shift collar to allow for like a seamless, aesthetically pleasing transition between the shifter boot and the actual shift knob. And it's designed to more easily release the shift boot from the actual shifter if you choose to do any future maintenance on the actual system. There's also two types of binding nuts that they provide in order to further adapt it to different shift knobs that you might be interested in. For example, if you decide to use the Type R shift knob in your Civic Sport or your Civic SI, there's a specific binding nut for that purpose. So it's awesome because Acuity has developed a part that is going to cost about the same as other aftermarket binding nuts required for any aftermarket shift knobs you choose, but they just want to give you a couple more extra features just to sweeten it up a little bit. Besides fixing boot sag and the small play inside the shift collar, this part right here should give you a wide range of flexibility when choosing an aftermarket shift knob for your Honda Civic. Alright guys, so as you can see, the install was relatively straightforward. All it took was just one zip tie to secure the leather boot back to the actual shift collar nut. And then with the new binding nut, it just snaps right in place to the actual shifter. And as you can see here, there's a nice flush transition between the profiles of the actual collar to the actual shift knob. Alrighty, so a big thanks again to Acuity Instruments for sponsoring this video. I look forward to working with you guys again in the future. If you guys like this video, please hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Regardless, I'll catch you guys in the next installation video. Have a nice day. Bye.